Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another Rocket League video. I hope you guys have your coffee. I have certainly had mine, or any caffeinated beverage. Unfortunately enough, I do see you this morning though with a very sad story. If you guys have not heard about this, Team Afterthought has made roster changes very close to not only Renegade Cup, one of the biggest events they will be attending this weekend. It starts tomorrow. They're going to kick their trio member Shock from the roster. I'm going to give you guys both sides of the story, but more crucially and kind of more brutally as well for this story, they kick this member and they'll have Fire as a substitute, particularly probably for sign-up play as well for rival series. They kick him as well, that being Shock, less than 10 days out for the signups for those rival series qualifiers. The actual qualifiers or the sign-up play-in do not start for another 4 to 5 weeks, but still signups have to be finalized in just less than 10 days, leaving Shock on his own. And I'm very curious what you guys think about this. This trio is certainly on the rise. They actually made it to WSOE. In doing so, they beat out some fairly good teams. I think Bread and Rogue, I think Team Nefarious as well, are the 3 teams they beat to actually qualify for WSOE 4. A team certainly on the rise as well. I think many of us expected them to be pretty much a guaranteed or lock-in team for rival series this upcoming season. They've also beaten a team who actually retained their spot, that being the Peeps. They beat the Peeps to actually qualify for the Renegade Cup this weekend, which Shock will also not be at because they kick him just a few days before the event starts. Now, I know I maybe sound one-sided already. I'm going to give you guys both full stories, okay? Shock's side as well as Hawkster and Mist as to why they kicked him. You guys can leave a comment down below who you think is actually in the right here, because overall, I do want to say quickly, it's an incredibly sad situation for both sides, especially Shock. Obviously, without a team himself, it's going to be kind of hard for him to compete this season if he can actually find a scrap together trio. Even for Hawkster and Mist though, because Shock definitely fit that roster, I would say pretty well, despite what they have said about him. Definitely a pretty solid trio, certainly on the rise for North America, and overall a very sad story. But let's break it down. It was actually Shock a couple days ago. I am sorry I'm late on this one, guys, but I'll break it down for you guys. His Twitlonger first, give you guys a TLDR as well so you don't waste too much time. But as I said before, everything will be linked down below. First off, he did say after spending a few hours crying, it was actually because he hopped in a call with his 3 former teammates, that being Fire, Hawkster, and Mist, who apparently did tell him they'd be looking for a 3rd player and he would be off that roster as of pretty much immediately. And it was also from Shock, his perspective at least, he did say they never really told him. They didn't really tell him too much. All they really did tell him was he got tilted easy in comms and brought the team's energy down. Now overall from Shock as well, we got this kind of gist of things. He also mentioned that he didn't really ever get told during the time up until they kicked him. They never really told him too much to actually correct these issues. They never said, hey Shock, you've been tilted in comms, you need to work on that, or hey Shock, do this. It was a limited number of times where they actually told him to work on these kind of things. And so from that perspective, if that does reign true, you understand, right? You can't just tell him as you're kicking him that this is why we're kicking you. You need to tell him up to the up lead to that, right? You need to actually give him opportunities to improve on his flaws. Now that was pretty much Shock's example of what went down there as well. And then very lastly, he did make a point, because it will be called out later. Shock did make the point, but yes, his hours on his main account were pretty low, 27, 33 hours over the last 2 weeks. He did have a Smurf account though, so combine his main account and his Smurf accounts, he was playing 65 plus hours over a 2-week period to actually train for this team. Now that was actually Shock's post, very short, I would say also pretty sad to read through, but then we had Mist and Hawkster, who they reply with their kind of combined Twitlonger, thanks to mostly Mist as well. They leave a lot more detail, and let's get into this one for all of you guys. They kind of answer a few points out there as well. The first of which, in their Twitlonger, they do talk about several times throughout the entire thing, the multiple reasons why they actually kicked Shock from the roster, his effect on team dynamic, his overall and the overall play of the team, his overall attitude, and much more. They also did kind of add on to what he said previously, because he said he was going to work on improving his hours across his main and his Smurf. They said though, that being Hawkster and Mist, he only added 5 to 6 hours per day and about 4 3v3 series after he said he would improve on those hours. And here is where it gets super juicy, but no one really talked about this. They talk about a girl. It's always the girls, man. Apparently a girl was actually distracting Shock as well from the play and from the team practice on top of everything, so that certainly does not help. But it's just kind of weird, right? We're in a time where esports / traditional sports, if you have a girlfriend or if you have a boyfriend or a significant other, it's going to take away from you actually pursuing this kind of passion, this kind of profession. It's kind of sad to see that you're going to get backfired for actually talking to girls. Either way though, jumping back into the Twitlonger as well, the final dagger, they continue to talk talk about his destructive attitude and how it actually affects the overall team morale. But the final dagger in hypocrisy, if you guys go back to Shock's post, he did say what they were doing to him was terrible, right? A team should never leave their teammates this close to signups for a huge thing like the Rival Series. I don't think he even meant the Renegade Cup. I think Rival Series is definitely the goal for all of these players. But either way, it was Shock pretty much saying this close to an opportunity like this, you should not be kicking a player, even if he's the best player in the world, is what he said. But on top of that, though, it's actually Hawkster and Mist posting a screenshot allegedly confirming. I say allegedly because, of course, we don't know the full details about this. It was actually last RLRS season. It was Shock playing with the normal times. That's actually normal alongside Hawkster. And with that Discord message, it did seem to be in Discord, he confirmed he would only have left those guys less than 10 days before signups, similar to this situation, if Rank X team had approached him to leave. So a bit of hypocrisy. It's kind of sad to see a message like that dug up again, but ironically enough, they kind of use that against him to then kick him less than 10 days from signups. An incredibly ironic situation that he actually said that last season, and they bring it back up to kick him in the same way that he would have left them, but he didn't. It's a bit of a iffy situation, so I'm really curious what you guys think about that. I would say overall, you guys, again, of course, Hawkster and Mist had a bit more evidence to back up. I wouldn't say I can really add too much to that because we don't know the full truth. It seems that Shock thinks he's right. It seems that the rest of the team thinks they're right, and it's a very difficult situation because, like I said before, these guys are left without a third member, a permanent member who I think was definitely one of their better members, and certainly I thought from an outside perspective fit well with the roster because they were doing well. And then you have Shock, who is left teamless this close to signups, and of course left out of the Renegade Cup. It's very sucky situation to be a part of. So very lastly as well, Pashy. Got it pronounced right this time, guys. I'm working. I always used to call him Pasky. He actually posted some things I thought were pretty knowledgeable, right? Kind of the old timer there, definitely giving his 2 cents, was definitely worth reading through as well, saying that many pro players out there use Smurf accounts. Also, many pro players work through these arguments, right? Try and fix the situation. You guys were not losing events. You weren't doing terribly. There's no reason to kick a guy if you guys are performing well together, which I definitely agree with. But overall, like I said before, we don't know the internal issues, right? It definitely seemed that there were some certain attitude issues that were way far and above what Hawkster and Mist could actually deal with. And again, like I've said many times so far, just a really sucky situation. So I hope I broke it down for you guys in a professional manner. I don't know. Sometimes these things get me all emotional. I really don't know if there's a side you can actually take in the matter. I just feel bad for both sides, but especially I do feel bad for Shock. A girl apparently is affecting distracting his play from this team, as well as he's not putting enough hours into the roster. And overall, I think the actual issue that was affecting Hawkster and Mist was the actual attitude, apparently bringing the entire team energy down, just too much for them to deal with him. And this is their way to kick him just 10 days out from the Rival Series signups. And again, one of the biggest opportunities these guys will have for their future. So you guys can leave a comment down below what you think. And I know I've said it way too many times. I'm not going to say it again. I feel bad for these guys, but I hope you guys all enjoy. As always, my name is Jake. I'll be back here sometime soon with hopefully some happier Rocket League news. But until next time, I'll see you then. Keep drinking coffee.